Hi, we'll get started in just about a minute. I have 1:59 and now I have 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. I still see a number of people joining in, so we'll get going slowly as people log in. So this is Colleen Newvine. I'm the product manager for the Associated Press Stylebook. I've been working on the Stylebook since 2006, so I have a decent amount of knowledge about how the website works and about our products. But in case you stump me, I've also called in the reinforcements. I have Chris Kohick joining me. Chris has been working on the Stylebook website for about 2 decades now. He was actually the one who proposed the wacky idea that the Stylebook should have a website back in the 90s.
Hi, everyone.
The website that we'll be showing off today is totally redesigned and relaunched in early 2017. So if you haven't been on for a while and it looks completely different, you are not imagining that. In the time that I've been working on the Stylebook, we've done a few sort of updates and refreshes and reworks, but my analogy is that, you know, those were a little bit like putting on a fresh coat of paint or adding on a guest bathroom. And the relaunch that we did in 2017 was a total teardown. Chris came at that basically with the idea, if we were building apstylebook.com from scratch today, how would we want to do it? So it's now mobile optimized, and I think it much easier to navigate. The search is better. The checkout is certainly easier. So we'll go through all of those features. Right now we've got you all on mute. I do have the chat window open, so if you need me to slow down or go over something again, please feel free to hit me up with a question in the chat. I've lived in New York for 12 years, so I will admit I have adopted the fast-talking New Yorker stereotype, but happy to back up if we need to clarify anything. Just one note, we are recording, so if we take things off mute, if you ask a question, you will be recorded. So let me jump in and first of all just show you, this is the main page for apstylebook.com, and this is what it looks like if you are not logged in. So there are sort of 2 ways that you can use apstylebook.com. Anyone who's a visitor can come here and see these style tips up at the top. You can come learn about the products that we have. You can scroll down over here. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can take a style mini quiz, and if you do that, it'll tell you which is the right answer. You can learn about events that are coming up, so if you'd like to learn when our next Twitter chat is. So all of that is available without being logged in. But the features that I'm going to show off that are part of AP Stylebook Online, you need to have a subscription and you need to be logged in. And so the first little handy trick that I'm going to show you is that over here in the login box, there's this checkbox that says remember me. And then the big yellow login button. But if you click remember me, that'll just make your life so much easier if you are using your laptop in multiple locations, if you're logging in on your phone from the office and your car and your coffee shop. Our system detects whether you've logged in from more than 3 IP addresses as part of our security. And if it starts to show up from multiple internet addresses, then we think that maybe your account has been compromised. So clicking that remember me tells us, I don't care where this account is coming from, it's my phone, it's my laptop, let me in. So once I'm logged in, this is what the main dashboard looks like. And as you'll see at the very top, probably the single biggest piece of feedback that we got from people as we rolled out a beta version of the redesign was that our users wanted the search to be bigger, easier to find. That's the single most common thing that people want to do is search the style book. So we made it pretty darn gigantic up here at the top. And then in addition, as you scroll down, you'll see that there are these other individual search boxes, but you're always going to be able to easily default to searching up in that top navigation. The top item in this dashboard is your custom style book. So we assume that when in doubt, if you're looking for style guidance, your own notes, your own entries are the thing that are most important to you. So we put those right up there on the top to make sure that you can see those. And you can see here that I can look at my custom style book, and it tells me these are my entries and these are my notes. So I can see them all in one place. And I'll show you how to make one of those a bit later. But so if you have custom content that you've made, it's nice and front and center, and I can search just that. I had an entry for illegal immigrant. So if I search, I must have had a typo in how I searched that. Oh, it was my notes. Sorry about that. I'm going to back up. So we can just do a search of our custom content. You can also just do a search of AP Stylebook content. And you can see down here, if you'd like to know what's new since the last time you logged in or in the last few months, you can click here to do that. If you'd like to see what's changed recently, you can do that. You can also browse. So I'm going to start there, which is this view by chapter. If you used to like with your print book, just sort of thumbing through it and sort of reading it for leisure, you can still do that with Stylebook Online. So you can just say, I would like to read the M chapter, and we'll jump ahead to that. I'd like to look at XYZ. I'd like to look at that. Scroll down. Our other chapters are going to include any of the topic chapters, the not A to Z chapters. So if you'd like to read data journalism, if you'd like to read about food or media law, our new chapter with guidance on covering polls and surveys, you can easily find any of those there. And we also give you those easy options to look at new entries and recent changes right here along the top of the style book. Again, I'll back up, go back out to the home, which I can do just by clicking on home. Below Stylebook, I have my account enabled with Webster's New World College Dictionary. So for a small additional fee when you subscribe to Stylebook Online, you can add in the primary dictionary of AP Stylebook, and that's Webster's New World. Here's your little word nerd moment for cocktail parties with your writer friends. The word Webster's is sort of a generic term. If you decided that you would like to write a dictionary with your friends this weekend and self-publish it, you could use the word Webster's. It is not protected by trademark. So Webster's New World College Dictionary has different owners and a different editing team from Merriam-Webster. They are completely separate and distinct dictionaries with different philosophies about how they approach things. Our primary dictionary is Webster's New World, and you can go in and take a look at our dictionary separately. So if I scroll down, and just like I did with the style book, I can just pick a chapter and look at that. And you'll see that It has all the kinds of information that you would expect in the dictionary, including the pronunciation and the multiple senses of the definition. And then if I go up and do a search, the default is when I do a search in that top navigation, it's going to search all of the sources. So up here at the top, it's giving me AP Stylebook because, as you can see over on the right, I don't have any custom entries or custom notes that use the word internet, but I can also jump down to Webster's New World, and that's clearly labeled as being a separate and distinct chunk. And this is what it would look like if I scrolled. So I scroll down through the AP Stylebook entries, then I come down and I clearly see that now I'm in Webster's New World College Dictionary entries mentioning the word internet. So you know which is which, but we try and make it as easy as possible to search all of our sources of information. And this will be a handy time to jump down to probably our most popular online only feature, and that's Ask the Editor. So if you have a question about how to apply an AP Stylebook rule, or if you're trying to do something in writing and editing and it feels like there just isn't a rule and you'd like some guidance from a Stylebook editor, you can submit an entry in Ask the Editor. You can get an email notification when it's answered, and then it becomes part of the searchable archive. So you can see that there have been 176 answers given that use the word internet, and we can scroll down through all of those, and they're in chronological order. And I'm going to pop back out to my home and show you what Ask the Editor looks like from here. So we were going down, we had AP Stylebook, we had Webster's New World College Dictionary, then the very next thing down from there is that Ask the Editor. So I can look at recent submissions if I just like to browse and see what kinds of things other people are asking for. I think a really handy place to start is the FAQ, because truly the same questions come up over and over again. So if you start here about how do you do abbreviations and acronyms, how do you deal with capitalization, these are the questions that Stylebook editors see coming up most frequently. So you may save yourself having to even write the question if you scroll down through the FAQ. But if it's not there, you can pop over here to submit a question. And it'll give you some guidance on, it'll be easier if you keep it short and focused, because that way that the editors can get to the meatier matter faster, and it doesn't bog down the system. So you can write your question. And if you'd like to include an example, you could pop in a link here. So, I was having trouble with this story that I posted. Would you have hyphenated this? You can include that link, and then you can submit. So now Paula Froke, our lead editor, is going to wonder why I submitted a question saying, write your question here. I'll pop back out to home. And right below Ask the Editor are a couple of other features that, in addition to what's in the printed style book that probably most of you know very well, we have these supplemental online only features. Ask the Editor, as I mentioned, is probably the most popular. The pronunciation guide is phonetic pronouncers and MP3 files for names and locations that are in the news. So you can head over there, and if you'd like to see how to pronounce Robert Mugabe, there he is up at the top, and you can scroll down and see some of the examples for how to do that. In particular, I think for broadcasters, this is great, but I know lots of journalists are now doing podcasts or video, and maybe like me, you used to be able to get away with only communicating in writing, and suddenly you find yourself having to have people listen to you. So you want to make sure you pronounce things correctly. So the pronunciation guide is helpful. Topical guides are roundups around events in the news, and they include both entries that you would find in the style book and sort of facts and figures to help you cover that item. So for example, here's a topical guide about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding. And you'll see, for example, that royal wedding, which is an entry in the style book, is always lowercase. So there are some entries like that. But then if you scroll down, you'll also see what the flowers were, what the wedding cake was, that there were roughly 600 people who had been invited to the royal wedding, and that 2,640 members of the public would be able to watch the arrival of the royal couple. So we kind of mix up both AP style and then just helpful bits of background that come from topic area experts. The most recent one that we did was on the North Korean summit. We have March Madness. We have the Olympics. The stock market crash a few months ago. We had hurricanes. So all of those become part of AP Stylebook Online. The most recent style topical guide is available to everybody without logging in, but as a subscriber, you get access to search all of those past topical guides as well. I'll take a breath here. Does anybody have a question? Do you want to, if there's anything you'd like me to clarify, feel free to hit me in the chat and I'll clarify. No? Okay. Then I will go back to show you how to do notes on an entry. So again, I'll do my internet search. Since lowercase internet was one of the more popular changes we've made in recent years. You'll see right here from this search, I can favorite this entry. So when I want to look at my list of favorites, now internet will be there, and I can add ISP as a favorite. ISP is acceptable on second reference. If I'd like to see the rest of that entry, then I click, and when I scroll all the way to the bottom, then I can add my custom note here. And when I scroll back down, you'll see that note's there. And if I'd like to, I can go back and edit that in any way. So if I'd like to bold it because I think it's really important, then now that is bolded. And then when I go back out to home, in my custom style book, you'll see that in my notes, it has that note that I just added. And if there's an entry that the style book doesn't have, I'm trying to think of something. I'll just do a test entry because that's not super imaginative, but we'll know that it's mine. This is the definition. Again, I could italicize, I can bold, and then I can create that custom entry. And when I go back to custom, you can see that it's there. Obviously, I've done test entry before, but you saw that was the one that I just created. So if you have a site license, you can, as the administrator for for all of your users on your site license, you can create custom entries and custom notes, and everybody on your site license will be able to see it. So if you have a team of 25 people or 1,000 people, you don't have to send them an email and hope that they print it out and tape it to the side of their monitor. It pushes out to everybody. So then, I've made an entry for Gary Pruitt, the CEO of the Associated Press, and everybody who's on my site license can do that search and see that Gary takes 2 T's at the end of his last name. So I think for teams that maybe have, if you're in a news organization and it's your mayor, it's the name of a local river, it's the name of a street that's hard to pronounce, it's helpful. If you are working in a public relations capacity and you have product names that are written a certain way, if you have company executives who like their title styled a certain way, you can put that in your site license, and that way everybody sees it without relying on each individual user. So I have a question. My students and I are watching the webinar from Texas A&M University, San Antonio. We have an online subscription through our university library. Students can't do custom notes since it's a group description. That's exactly right. There are 2 kinds of site licenses. The most common will involve each user having their own username and password, and then they'll be able to add their own individual custom entries and custom notes in addition to what the site administrator might put in. If you're using the version that you have, that's called a concurrent user license. That means that you don't need to have a username or password to log in, but because you don't have a username to associate any of your customization with, then you also aren't able to put in your own custom entries or custom notes. But you can do all of the searching that I showed you of the Stylebook content, but your students won't be able to create their own individual content. And thanks for joining. I'm glad you're here. I will pop over to 1 or 2 other quick things, and then I'm going to hand over to Chris because I've almost certainly forgotten something. So this is what our product page looks like. If you're over here and you're logged in and you click shop, it's just going to take you to this page. So we still have the spiral bound Stylebook, sort of our flagship product up at the top. It's probably the most recognizable. But point of interest, AP Stylebook Online actually sells more than the spiral bound Stylebook now. It's in the last couple of years, it's become our most popular product. And then if you click through on that, we've tried to make it much simpler for you to buy the Stylebook. So we have you go through just these couple of questions and tell us how many users you have, if you'd like to add the Webster's New World College Dictionary content, if you're a member of an AP member news organization. In case you didn't know, the AP is a not-for-profit cooperative owned by daily newspapers in the United States. So members of the AP cooperative get a discount on Stylebook products. In this case, I'm going to say no, I'm not a member. Would you like to sign up for automatic renewal and save 20%? Of course, I'm always up to save a little money. And then this is going back to that question that Tammy just asked. Would you like a named user license or would you like a concurrent user license? And if you don't know quite what that means, we have a little bit of explanation with each of these toggle buttons. And then we have even more detail over here. But we'll do this, click Find My Stylebook, and it will tell you cost per user, total cost, You can add it to your cart, or you can email it to your accounts payable or to your editor, whoever might need to approve. So we have a question. Is the 20% discount when you sign up for automatic renewal a one-time offer, or do you receive 20% off each year's subscription? So that's a great question, Casey. What happens is you get 20% off in your first year when you sign up for automatic renewal. And then every subsequent year, we're going to automatically give everybody a 20% discount for renewing. So basically what we're doing is when you sign up for automatic renewal, we're jumping you ahead to what the renewal discount rate will be in your very first year. So you'll get that 20% every year that you renew going forward. Thank you. We think it's pretty awesome too. I think that's one of the reasons that that Stylebook Online has taken over the book. So there's no shipping cost, and shipping a 600-page book is a non-trivial fee. No matter what Amazon might lead us to believe, it's pretty expensive to ship a big, heavy book. You get access to the content immediately. It's got all of that supplemental material, but then there's just this practical matter that you get that 20% off every year. And as you add more users onto your site license, the cost per user goes down as your number of users goes up. So the economics of subscribing to Stylebook Online start to look pretty good if you have multiple users and you're in your second or subsequent years with that renewal discount. Chris, what have I forgotten?
Colleen, I think you've covered quite a bit. A couple things I wanted to point out was with respect to the account dashboard area. Do you want to go to that on your screen?
Yep, here we are.
Great. And what I wanted to point out specifically is with reference to site licenses. In the right-hand column there under My Account Dashboard, there is a Manage Users section and also a Manage Products. And this, we've gotten feedback from some of our site license administrators, and that's been very helpful. And it allows you to have this dashboard where you can assign your different users access to different products. So for instance, maybe you have someone, some of your staff that uses Outlook for their mail client. You can assign AP Style Guard for Outlook to those specific customer users. And then if you have any Mac users or users that do not use Outlook, you don't need to assign a seat to that particular person. So you can customize the products to fit your needs. Another thing I wanted to bring up with the concurrent user licenses that you mentioned earlier, which are very popular with libraries and organizations that don't necessarily want to manage hundreds of users. For offsite access, you can assign named accounts to some of your users who may work remotely or are out in the field and can't access through a VPN. So it provides sort of a hybrid solution in addition to just that network office-based access. You can assign outside users access so they can get into the information as well. And then lastly, with the concurrent user license, the people that are not named users that are logged in cannot, as you noted, create their own custom notes. However, the account administrator can. So at the account level, and a manager can type in custom entries like you showed examples of earlier, and then the users, regardless of whether they have a named logged in account or are accessing through a library or a concurrent based account, can access that custom content that you've created for your site license.
Yeah, all excellent additions. And see, this is why I have Chris around to keep me honest, because those are great features. And in particular, that what I think of as the hybrid license, almost the concurrent user, but maybe you have 3 freelancers who aren't in the office, or some salespeople who are out traveling a lot, that they can have a username and password to sign in from all over the country or all over the world. That was based on feedback from our users. And I think that's a really nice kind of the in-between solution. You don't want to have all named users because it's too hard to administer, but a few named users would be helpful. So thanks for reminding me of that.
Sure, and then one other thing too, I wanted to point out the navigation in the right hand, just below AP Stylebook, the hamburger navigation provides another resource for navigating the site, as Colleen is showing here. In addition to the content areas, which are listed at the top, below we have links to browse the products, upcoming AP Stylebook events, including Twitter chats, webinars, convention appearances, etc. And then as well, the ability to suggest a stylebook change or addition. That provides a resource if you have a recommendation for the stylebook. You can submit that here, and then we can get that forwarded to the editors for consideration, either in the published book or within the AP Stylebook Online site as well.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me of another good point, which is that Stylebook Online is updated throughout the year. So unlike the print book, which just came out at the end of May, if you make a suggestion here and the editors like it today, it could be updated tomorrow. So Stylebook Online is the most up-to-date resource and doesn't need to wait until the print book comes out. Although there is sort of an extra flurry of activity around when the book launches, updates are made throughout the year. So don't feel like you need to wait until next spring to make your suggestions. Chris, I'm going to show off a couple more quick things unless you had something else you wanted to hit.
I think that covers it. I was going to also point out one additional feature that we've added in the past 6 months or so is an integration with the AP blog site, specifically to add integrations to some of the content that the news directors and folks at AP have put together in the blog on the main site. And we have that integrated into our site as well and can be searched. But it provides a bit more guidance and information regarding events, topics, writing about the alt-right as we just scrolled past, etc. And just provides, I think, a bit more inside baseball kind of information as to why AP style is the style that we have.
Great. Yep. And again, you can find that from this logged in homepage. When you scroll down, you'll find the AP style blog.
And I just saw it there too. I was going to mention, we also, as noted on the homepage, we had that mini quiz, but we have over 90 quizzes available, which are 5 questions each, multiple choice. You can track your results. And the quizzes cover a variety of topics, ranging most recently from changes in the 2018 edition to some that cover specific topics such as fashion or food, as well as capitalization, etc. And so with over 90 quizzes in there, there's a wealth of information and learning opportunities and just the general ability to test your knowledge and make sure that you're up to speed.
And Chris, I'm sure it's not a coincidence that you said over 90 quizzes and not more than 90 quizzes. Excellent. So again, this was the suggestions link. In order to buy a Stylebook Online subscription, you will need to create an account with us, because I suppose this seems logical, but I'll just state the obvious. We need to have your email so that we can send you your activation email. And then by doing that, by creating an account with us, you're going to get some advantages, like being able to come back to our website and always see your past orders. So if you needed to turn in that invoice to your accounts payable folks, but you happen to accidentally delete it, or if you want to see what you paid 2 years ago and just compare to what we're charging you this year, all of that's in here. So if you search our help center, we have a quick description on how you register. It's very simple. We need your email, we need a password, you can enter your company name if applicable, and then we're going to ask you a few quick things about you, and that's just to find out if you qualify for any of our discounts. Are you an employee of a news organization that's a member of the cooperative? Do you belong to any of the professional organizations that we have partnerships with to give you a discount on Stylebook Online? So that could include ACES, PRSA, RTDNA, SPJ, AAJA. I know that's a lot of alphabet soup, but if you're a member of any of those, then you might get a discount on Stylebook Online. If you work for a college bookstore, we'll ask you to give us your reseller ID, and all of that will qualify you once for your discount, and then all you have to do is come back and log in, and you'll get that discount again next time. We have a help center available. You can get there by clicking Help Center up here in the upper right of the navigation, the top navigation. We have a lot of the most common questions covered here. You can browse those. You can also search for them. But if you happen not to get your question answered, if you scroll down, we also have in-person help available both by email and by phone. And it looks like we've got a couple more quick questions. Can I explain more about the AP StyleGuard product, and can it be applied to any site? We're going to be running out of time here, but I'd be happy to give you a little bit more information about StyleGuard. It's completely separate from Stylebook Online. It's a separate subscription, but StyleGuard can do automated style checking for Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office. If you'd like to send me an email, my email address is the letter C, Newvine, N-E-W-V as in Victor, I-N-E, @ap.org, and I'll put that in the chat when I'm done here in just a sec. Feel free to shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to give you more information about StyleGuard. Lisa has a question about quickly reviewing the custom style book and sharing it out with all the users under the same license. So if you have a site license, there are 2 different layers of customization that you can do. As the site license owner, you can put in custom notes and custom entries that you would like all of your users to see. So it's something related to your newsroom or your company. And then the individual users, assuming you're on a named user site license and they are logging in on a named user license, they can also create custom entries and custom notes. So if they're covering a beat, or I refer to some rules as style kryptonite. They're just the things that no matter how many times you look them up, you can't remember whether underway is 1 word or 2. That happens to be one of mine. You can put in an example or a mnemonic for how you remember that, or additional information, and that doesn't need to be visible to all the users. So in a site license, the site license owner can create entries and notes that go out to everyone, and then the users can also create their own entries and notes. Does that help?
Colleen,
yeah.
Colleen, I'm sorry, I was going to add as well that with account managers, who are essentially, as you noted, the owners of a site license, with the new site that we launched just over 1.5 years ago, we added the ability to where you can assign multiple users in your site license account manager access. So say, for instance, you have one person that is managing the users on your site license, a office manager or something along those lines, and they can make sure that the users are properly set up as staff changes. But then you have another person that is your copy editing specialist, or the person that is your style guru on staff. You can assign them account manager access, and then any entries that they add, it doesn't have to be just one person that is the account owner, but you can assign multiple users. So if you have someone else that wants to add content, they can do that.
Yeah, and again, that was based on feedback from our users that, you know, the person paying for the site license is not necessarily the person who's maintaining the content in the site license. And so that was really helpful to be able to improve that and make multiple people have access to different parts of administration. Just wanted to show you, if you aren't already following us on Twitter, we offer tips there on a daily basis, and we'll also be doing a webinar with Reagan Communications next week, featuring Paula Froke, our lead editor, talking about what's new in the 2018 style book. So we tweeted about that today, but we also have some style tips here, so that's another way for you to stay in touch with us. Anybody last chance to ask a question? If not, of course, you're welcome to follow up and tweet at us. You can send us messages in any number of ways on Facebook. You can comment on Instagram. You can reach us through the Help Center. But since you've got us, if you've got anything that you'd like to ask, please let me know right now. Okay, well, thanks so much for all of you to take the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions on how we could make Stylebook Online more useful to you, we really do value your feedback. It would be very useful. And thanks to all of you saying that this was helpful too. I really appreciate that as well. Have a great day.
Thank you.